San Marino's international football team are rather popular, but for all the wrong reasons. Everybody knows them because they are one of the worst national teams in the world. And this video won't end until San Marino win the World Cup on Football Manager, which is what a crazy person would say considering they are ranked 210th in the world and this is their best player right now. But it's true, we will keep going until San Marino are World Cup winners. And obviously they're gonna need a little bit of assistance because it would be impossible considering they've never even qualified for one or even won a qualifying match. So I have given the nation a 5-star youth rating as well as given each club in San Marino perfect training facilities. But even with all of this, it's still going to take a lot of time and probably a lot of luck for San Marino to lift a World Cup. I also have the San Marinese League loaded too, so we can follow all the growth that these changes have on their domestic league system too, as they are sitting currently in 166th as the best league in Europe. 10 years on, we can already see this is starting to work with a new world ranking of 158, and if we take a look at the competition, they are now ranked 123 instead of in the 160s. This change in just 10 years is quite promising. Obviously, we're not seeing the levels that we are hoping for in terms of World Cup victories, but it shows that there is progression in the nation and they're going to start bringing some fantastic players through, hopefully. But the early signs are promising, such as Lorenzo Broccoli. It's a fantastic name and he's a fantastic player, one of the world's best right backs, and he's at Inter Milan, but he signed from a San Marinese club for just £2,300. That's where we need the league reputation to increase so that these valuations of players leaving the clubs will increase, or they just won't leave at all. But there's other players as well, such as a player here at Hellas Verona. We just need for this to increase. Now, the world ranking as a history has had a huge increase all the way up until 158 so far, so that's a fantastic sign. Yes, it's still early days, but we are also seeing some improvements competitively in the qualification stages too, because there's current FIFA World Cup qualifications going on for the 2034 World Cup, and San Marino stand an outside chance of actually qualifying with 1 win so far against Malta, 2 draws against Luxembourg and Poland, and only a loss to Switzerland. They do have Spain to play next, which probably isn't going to end well, but they've only scored and conceded 3 goals apiece, which means their goal difference is a lot less than what they're used to. Eventually, qualification dream was over. They did finish in 4th place, but they put up a bloody good fight really, with 2 wins and 4 draws in total, even getting a home draw against Spain. And by 2050, we've got a new record for the world rankings of San Marino, as they currently find themselves 109th in the world. A lot more progression going on there, as we can see from the graph. And competitions, this is also impressive too. They've gone up to 38th and now have a 2.5-star reputation in the league, which is very good for qualification for European games. And as you can see, the champions automatically qualify, but there's now 3 other clubs who can qualify to European competitions. The standard of player that the nation currently has as well has also vastly increased. Now, because I have access to the in-game editor, I can see the current and potential abilities for the players, and these are out of 200, and we can see here this player has a very high current and potential ability, and there are some really youngsters coming through who have a high potential too, and this could be good for the nation. Qualification has been great too, with a 4th place finish there and a 3rd place finish in this World Cup qualification for the 2050 World Cup, finishing just behind Italy and Bosnia with 3 wins, 1 draw and only 4 losses. Still some way off from qualifying, but we're getting closer. 24 years later, and we have qualified for our first World Cup. And in a group which featured the Ivory Coast, South Korea and Colombia, San Marino went one further and progressed to the 2nd round, defeating Portugal in that 2nd round 5-1. But the round of 16 was as far as they got, as Argentina defeated them 2-0 with a free kick and a penalty. But that has made a massive difference to their world rankings, because San Marino are now 37th in the world rankings, and even better yet, a 3.5-star league reputation puts them at 13th in the overall competition reputation, And look how many European qualification spots they got, including these clubs are actually playing in the Champions League now and reaching the league phase. And some of the players coming through are the best in Europe, such as Benedetti, who is playing at Bayern Munich as a striker with unbelievable attributes. And as you can see, he came through that same Morata club and went for a little bit more money than what we've seen previously, £3.2 million. Obviously, he went on to cost £61 million, but it's progress nonetheless. These players here are moving earlier in their careers and still going for a lot more money. With two players at 160 or above current ability and 170 potential. So it was a really good effort from San Marino in the 2074 World Cup, but this video won't end until they lift one. In the next World Cup, they managed to qualify again, but this time was put in a group with Argentina, but lost 1-0. They still went on to qualify from their group with Jamaica and Ghana finishing below them after beating Jamaica 5-0 and drawing 2-2 against Ghana. They then got to the second round against the Czech Republic and defeated them 3-1. And in the round of 16, I think they would surprise anybody because they played France. And they only went and beat France 3-1 as well. But that unfortunately was the exact same result as when they played Brazil, who actually went on to win the World Cup. They lost 3-1 in Paris, but they put up a good fight, reaching the quarter-finals of a World Cup. That performance was fantastic for San Marino as it takes them higher once again in the world rankings to 27th in the world. However, this is where the upward trend started to fall and we ended up taking a bit of a downward step in San Marino's progress. And that's because for the next two World Cups, they even failed to qualify. The 2090 World Cup is actually being held in Italy right next door, and they have managed to qualify in a group with Ivory Coast, Croatia and Uzbekistan. And what a tournament they had, defeating Croatia 3-1, Ivory Coast 3-1, 11-0 against Uzbekistan, knocking South Korea out in the second round 5-0, beating Brazil on penalties, only to lose to the Germans after they equalised in the 91st minute of the quarterfinal and knocking them out on penalties, which gave San Marino a well-deserved boost in the world rankings, taking them back up to 22nd again after dropping all the way down to 43rd. The San Marino League, however, has a different story, because that just keeps on coming on leaps and bounds. Still a 3.5-star reputation, but up to 8th in the competition reputation in total. They are now just a few positions behind the Serie A. So this is where we need San Marino football to really kick on and capitalise on this and go for a World Cup. They are certainly on the right path because they got to the Euros final in 2096, only losing to France 3-1, who we know they can beat. But in the World Cup, they didn't even qualify for the 2094 as they finished third in the qualification group, and after qualifying for the 2098 World Cup, they only managed to reach the round of 16 where Brazil knocked them out on penalties. It's still been a good period for their world rankings though, as they've been sitting around the 19 to 22 mark. 3 years later though, and the San Marinese League is actually dropping down in the rankings down to 11th. They did qualify for their World Cup and topped their group, winning all 3 games, defeating Cameroon, USA and Saudi Arabia. They defeated Burkina Faso in the second round, and with the World Cup being held in Germany, there's just one nation, which is a bit of a bogey team that you'd want them to avoid. But guess who they faced in the round of 16 in Munich? We did, however, have a new world record stance as 15th at one point, dropping down to 17th for now. The 2106 World Cup qualified for, and San Marino qualified from their group with Spain and Ghana as well, beating Syria and Ghana and losing to Spain 3-1. In the second round though, it was a fantastic performance against the other famous team in Sky Blue as they defeated Argentina 2-0, before knocking out Japan in the round of 16 in Osaka after extra time. But they are holding their own against some of the bigger nations in the world, finishing in 16th place in the world rankings for now, but we just need a World Cup. We are also starting to see a lot more players come through with higher current abilities as well, which is great to see. But in what felt like a really backward step, they failed to qualify for the Euros in 2108. But with England in their group in their next World Cup qualifiers, they managed to finish in second place to qualify for the 21-10 World Cup, where they topped their group, which featured Australia and Algeria, as well as Brazil, who they defeated 2-1. They then got revenge on Scotland, defeated them 5-1 in the second round, and got quite lucky with the draw as they defeated Bosnia and Herzegovina 4-0 in the round of 16. But this is as far as they've ever got before, the quarterfinal, and this time they're in Johannesburg against Argentina again. But this time it was different, as San Marino went on and defeated Argentina 2-1, taking the lead and scoring a second before Argentina could even find the net. And they go through to their very first World Cup semi-final to play against the world-ranked #1 team, France. But they remained completely unfazed and took it to the best team in the world, defeating them in the World Cup semi-final 2-0. And now they go on to the World Cup final, where there's only a matter of Spain to defeat to lift the trophy, which is also the nation that the San Marino's captain Andrea Chiaruzzi plies his trade at Villarreal. At this point in the experiment as well, San Marino find themselves down in 21st place in the world rankings, while Spain are in second. But the San Marino League has climbed back up to 8th place and is actually behind the Bundesliga, but a whole star reputation away. And just to give San Marino that extra bit of luck, I'm going to need you to press that subscribe button. Here we go. And I think that is exactly what they needed, as the Spanish defense caused a big mistake for San Marino to take the lead in just 13 minutes. Now, the second goal didn't come until the second half, but once again it was a sky blue man in Della Balda who put the ball in the back of the net. But later on, the Spanish attack managed to force one more full sweep and smash it in, but San Marino are world champions. And defeating Spain in that final 2-1 has seen them only step up to 9th place in the world rankings, but it's still some achievement. They still lifted the FIFA World Cup, and it was done with this man in charge, Hendrik Eichhorn, who is Austrian, but he's been in and around San Marino's football with the likes of SS Cosmos, who is one of the best teams in San Marino right now. Fantastic stuff. They've managed to do it, and they've lifted a World Cup. And I'm very pleased I don't have to keep simulating for another 100 years. And again, if you have enjoyed it, make sure you press that subscribe button. Let's see if we can get to 130,000 subscribers soon. And why not check out this video right here, where I flipped all of the English pyramid and put all the Premier League teams in the Van Rama National League. It's a lot of fun.